Children, today we are going to see the continuation of the history chapter 2 from trade to territory. Okay? See children, in the last class we saw about the decline of the Mughal dynasty, right? Who was the last powerful emperor of the Mughal dynasty? Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was the last powerful ruler of the Mughal dynasty. And who was the last ruler of the Mughal dynasty? Bahadur Shah Zafar. Okay, don't get confused. Then we saw about the East India Company, right? Actually, the East India Company was a small trading company, right? Initially, they came to India for trade. When they came to India, their sole purpose was trade. In the year 1600, the East India Company got royal charter from Queen Elizabeth, who was the ruler of England. Okay, see, the British East India Company didn't come directly to India. They got royal charter from Queen Elizabeth I. Okay, fine. Then what did we see? Then we saw about the Portuguese sailor Vasco da Gama, right? He discovered the sea route from Europe to India in the year 1498. Then where did they land? At first they landed at Calicut, right? And then along with the English East India Company, the other other European companies also came to India to trade. Who were they? French East India Company, Dutch East India Company, and Danish East India Company, right? Actually, what attracted European powers to come to India? The fine qualities of cotton and silk, and not only that, spices such as pepper, cardamom, and cinnamon, right? Then what did we see? How did English East India Company begins trade in Bengal? See children, English East India Company is also known as British East India Company. Okay, both are same. See, in the year 1651, the first English factory was set up on the banks of river Hooghly. Okay. By 1696, the company began building a fort around the settlement. Okay. Then 2 years later, it bribed Mughal officials into giving the company zamindari rights over 3 villages. Okay. See, one of these was Calcutta, which later grew into the city of Calcutta or Kolkata. At that time, Aurangzeb issued a format granting the company the right to trade duty-free. Without paying duty, they can do trade. This order issued by whom? Aurangzeb. Okay. See, Aurangzeb issued a format only for 3 villages. Without paying duty, they can do trade. But these company officials misused this order, this royal order, and they started to trade illegally. So what happened finally? Due to the unfair trade of the company officials, Bengal faced huge revenue loss. Okay. Then we saw about Murshid Quli Khan, who became the Nawab of Bengal after the death of Aurangzeb. Then he was succeeded by Alivardi Khan, right? Now we are going to see about Siraj-ud-Dawla, the Nawab of Bengal, and the Battle of Plassey. Okay. Children, Siraj-ud-Dawla became the Nawab of Bengal after the death of Alivardi Khan in the year 1756. Already I have told you, Siraj-ud-Dawla was an efficient ruler of Bengal. See, after he became the Nawab of Bengal, he asked the company to pay tax because he saw Bengal faced huge revenue loss due to the unfair trade of the company officials. So he ordered the company to pay tax. Okay. And he also asked the company to stop fortifying their settlements. Okay. So British feared Siraj-ud-Dawla and came to negotiate. But in the year 1756, the negotiation between British and Siraj-ud-Dawla failed. So it led to Battle of Plassey. See children, now I will show you a video on the Battle of Plassey. Okay. The Battle of Plassey. You will be able to list the factors that led to the Battle of Plassey. List the reasons for the defeat of Siraj-ud-Dawla in the Battle of Plassey. The views of the East India Company. The large fees demanded by the Nawabs and the local rulers to carry on trade was unfair. They also felt that the enlargement of settlements, buying of villages and building of forts which were banned by Nawab were necessary for the expansion of their trade. What the company wanted was a puppet ruler who would act in their favor. So they tried to replace the Nawab of Bengal Siraj-ud-Dawla with one of his rivals. This angered Siraj-ud-Dawla and he ordered the company to stop interfering in his government's affairs, and he also ordered the company to stop fortifying their settlements and pay their taxes. When the company failed to accept his demands, Siraj-ud-Dawla, a Nawab of Bengal, got so angry and he took control of Kazim Bazar and Calcutta fort. He cut off all the supplies to the company's ships. To help the company, armed forces were sent from Madras under the leadership of Robert Clive. The company's naval forces were also sent to Bengal. Robert Clive defeated Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla in 1757 in the famous Battle of Plassey. The main reason of Siraj-ud-Dawla's defeat was Mir Jafar, one of his commanders, who turned traitor against him and never fought the battle. Robert Clive had promised Mir Jafar that he would be made Nawab of Bengal after Siraj-ud-Dawla for his services. The Battle of Plassey was the company's first victory on Indian soil. We have learnt that the East India Company tried to replace Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla with a puppet ruler. Siraj-ud-Dawla took control of Kazim Bazar and Calcutta fort. Armed forces under the leadership of Robert Clive were sent along with the naval fleet to fight Siraj-ud-Dawla. Mir Jafar, one of Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla's commanders, turned traitor and never fought the battle. Robert Clive defeated Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla in 1757 in the famous Battle of Plassey. See, after the defeat at Plassey, Siraj-ud-Dawla, who was the Nawab of Bengal, was assassinated. Assassinated means killed. Siraj-ud-Dawla was killed by the company force. And after that, who became the Nawab of Bengal? Mir Jafar. Why? Because for the sake of the throne only, Mir Jafar betrayed Siraj-ud-Dawla. In the last minute, he withdrew his troops from the battlefield. Due to that Mir Jafar's betrayal only, Siraj-ud-Dawla lost the battle, isn't it? Yes. So now Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. Now the company was granted right to free trade in Bengal. Throughout the Bengal, the company did free trade without paying tax. But after some time, Mir Jafar refused to give any further rights. Who refused to give any further rights to the company? Mir Jafar. Okay. Children, Mir Jafar just placed on the throne as a puppet because the East India Company, the British, needed a puppet ruler, so that they made Mir Jafar as a Nawab of Bengal. But after some time, Even Mir Jafar also protested against company. So he was replaced with Mir Qasim in the year 1764. Okay. See, after the victory of Battle of Plassey, the company transformed from a trading in company to a political force in Bengal. Why? Because of the victory of Plassey, victory of Battle of Plassey, and they made the Nawab as a puppet ruler, right? Then they deposed Mir Jafar, and Mir Qasim became the Nawab of Bengal, right? Again, when Mir Qasim complained against company, again Mir Qasim failed to pay to the company. He in turn was defeated in the battle fought at Buxar in the year 1764, and Mir Jafar reinstalled. So when Mir Qasim again protested against the company, what happened? The company declared war on him and defeated him in the Battle of Buxar in the year 1764. After that, who became the Nawab of Bengal? Mir Jafar. Do you know who was the Mir Jafar? Mir Jafar was the one of the Sirajuddaulla's commanders, right? So again Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal. Okay. For that, the Nawab had to pay rupees 5 lakh every month. But the company wanted more money to finance its wars and meet the demands of trade and its other expenses. So, to meet their other expenses, they demanded more amount from the Nawab. But after the Battle of Buxar in the year 1764, the British established unquestioned authority over Bengal. Yes. Before, in the year 1757, the Battle of Plassey itself, they started to establish their power. But now, after the victory of Buxar in the year 1764, they established their unquestioned authority over Bengal. Okay. But in the year 1765, Mir Jafar died. So now Robert Clive declared, we must indeed become Nawabs ourselves. So having failed to work with puppet Nawabs, instead of working with puppet Nawabs, we will become Nawabs. Who declared this one? Robert Clive. Okay. So in the year 1765, Mughal emperor appointed the company as the Diwan of the provinces of Bengal. So in the year 1765, Mughal emperor appointed the company as the Diwan of the provinces of Bengal. Now whole revenue authority came under the East India Company. So Diwani rights, collecting revenue authority, who got? The East India Company. So the Diwani allowed the company to use the vast revenue resources of Bengal. See, already they enjoyed the privileges. Now they got the Diwani rights of the Bengal provinces. Now what they did? They used the vast revenue resources of Bengal to meet their needs. Okay. Now the company used the Bengal revenue to purchase cotton and textiles in India, then maintain company troops and meet the cost of building the company fort and offices at Calcutta. Before that, they imported gold and silver from Britain for trade. Now they stopped to import gold and silver from Britain. They used the Bengal's revenue to fulfill their needs. Okay, to meet their needs. So In the year 1765, the Mughal emperor appointed the company as the Diwan of the provinces of Bengal. Okay. See, after the Battle of Plassey, the actual Nawabs of Bengal were forced to give land and vast sums of money as personal gifts to company officials. So, basically most of the company officials came from very humble backgrounds and received low salaries, but many of them got enormous wealth from illegal private trade in Bengal. When they returned to England, their wealth drew the attention and they led comfortable life and they showed their flashy life. They led flashy life. So they were called them Nawabs. Actually, an adaptation of the Indian word Nawab. Okay. So Nawabs is a word, anglicized version of the Indian word Nawab. Okay. See, Robert Clive came to Madras from England in 1743 at the age of 18, and he was appointed as Governor General of Bengal in the year 1764, and he was supposed to remove corruption, but he himself made a fortune of 1,102 pounds. He was cross-examined by the British Parliament and he committed suicide in the year 1774. See, actually to eradicate the corruption in the East India Company, Robert Clive was appointed as Governor General of Bengal, but he himself made a fortune of 401,102 pounds. So he was cross-examined by the British Parliament. So he committed suicide in the year 1774. Okay. See, the English East India Company as a trading company. First they came to India for trade. Then after the victory of Battle of Plassey in the year 1757 and the victory of Battle of Buxar in the year 1764, they started to process of annexation of Indian states between 1757 to 1857. See, the East India Company started process of annexation. You know, annexation means adding more states. They wanted to add more states. They wanted to bring more states under their control. So, and from 1757 until 1857, they kept on adding more states. See, if someone protests, they did direct military attack. Then for this territorial expansion, they adopted various political, economic and diplomatic methods. So for this annexation, they adapted so many political and economic diplomatic methods. And they introduced subsidiary alliance. Okay. In fact, after the Battle of Buxar in the year 1764, the company appointed residents in Indian states. Actually, the residents were political or commercial agents and their job was to serve and further the interests of the company. Actually, through the residents, the company officials began interfering in the internal affairs of Indian states. They tried to decide who was to be the successor to the throne and who was to be appointed in administrative posts. Sometimes the company forced the states into a subsidiary alliance. Okay, so the residents who were appointed by the company interfered the internal affairs of Indian states. They only decided, they had the deciding authority. They decided who was to be the successor to the throne, next who should come, then and who was to be appointed in administrative posts. Okay, so in this way, residents interfered the internal affairs of Indian states. Okay, now let's see about the subsidiary alliance. See, in the year 1798, subsidiary alliance was introduced by Lord Richard Wellesley. So, the system subsidiary alliance was introduced by Lord Richard Wellesley. He was the Governor General of India. Okay, so who introduced a subsidiary alliance? Lord Richard Wellesley in the year 1798. Okay, see, under this subsidiary alliance, actually, why Richard Wellesley introduced this system of subsidiary alliance? In order to establish British supremacy in India and remove all traces of French influence. This time French also competed with the English East India Company, right? So that they wanted to remove all traces of French influence. So that in the year 1798, Governor General of India, Lord Richard Wellesley, introduced the system of subsidiary alliance. Okay, see, under this, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. They were supposed to be protected by the company. They said that, why do you have a separate army? We will give complete protection to you. But for this protection, you have to pay some money. Look at the fate of this. See, but for the protection that I am giving, you have to pay sub. Sub means some money. Okay, so this is called subsidiary alliance. So if someone is failed to make the payment, then part of their territory was taken away as penalty. See, for example, when Richard Wellesley was Governor General of India 1798 to 1805, the Nawab of Awadh was forced to give half of his territory to the company in the year 1801 as he failed to pay for the subsidiary forces. Even Hyderabad was also forced to give territories on similar grounds. So, subsidiary alliance was a system. The system subsidiary alliance was introduced by whom? Lord Richard Wellesley in the year 1798, and according to this rule, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. They were to be protected by the company, so that they had to pay for the subsidiary forces. If they failed to make the payment, some part of their territory was taken away as penalty. For example, Awadh in the year 1801, the part of Awadh was annexed by the East India Company, and also Hyderabad also gave up its territory. Okay. See, after the Battle of Plassey, after the Battle of Buxar, the East India Company started to expand their territories. Actually, a trading company, actually East India Company we know very well, East India Company was a small trading company. Now it became rulers of Indian territories. They annexed many kingdoms through conspiracy. Actually, by the time our people started waking up, they thought that, oh, no, the British had planned to dominate us, to enslave us and rule us. So, initially, Mysore at that time was very strong. Who were the rulers of Mysore? Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan. In fact, Hyder Ali ruled over Mysore from 1761 to 1782, and his son Tipu Sultan ruled from 1782 or 1799. See, during their ruling period, Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan ensured that Mysore was growing like anything. Yeah, they were strong rulers of Mysore. In fact, Mysore controlled the profitable trade of the Malabar coast, where the company purchased pepper and cardamom. See, in the year 1785, Tipu Sultan stopped the export of sandalwood, pepper and cardamom through the ports of his kingdom. He stopped to export all those spices and sandalwood, and he was not allowed local merchants from trading with the company. Okay, he didn't allow the local merchants to trade with the company. And he also established a close relationship with the French in India and modernized his army with their help. So, in order to modernize his army, Tipu Sultan maintained cordial relationship with whom? With the French. But after seeing this, the British got so angry. The British were furious. They saw Hyder and Tipu as ambitious, arrogant and dangerous rulers who had to be controlled and crushed. So 4 wars were fought with Mysore in the year 1767 to 69 and 1780 to 84, then 1790 to 92 and in the year 1799. Only in the last battle of Seringapatam, Seringapatam is also known as Srirangapatnam, okay, in the year 1799, the company got victory because Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital Seringapatam, okay, and you know children, Tipu Sultan is also known as the Tiger of Mysore, okay, but after the defeat of Tipu Sultan, Mysore was placed under the former ruling dynasty of the Odayars, and a subsidiary alliance was imposed on the state. So, after Tipu Sultan killed, Mysore was placed under the former ruling dynasty of the Odayars, and a subsidiary alliance was imposed on the state. Okay. Now let's recall what we have studied so far. Okay, first we saw about the Battle of Plassey. In which year the Battle of Plassey was fought? In the year 1757. Battle of Plassey was fought between whom? Sirajud-Dowlah, the Nawab of Bengal, and Robert Clive. Then who won the battle? Robert Clive, right? Then who became the Nawab of Bengal? Mir Jafar. Then Mir Qasim became the Nawab of Bengal. Then in the year 1764, the Battle of Buxar was fought between Mir Qasim and the East India Company, and company won this battle, right? Then after that, how did the company expand their territories? And after Battle of Buxar, the company appointed residents in Indian states. Then how the company forced the states into a subsidiary alliance. Then the Nawab of Awadh and the Nizam of Hyderabad were forced to give up their territories and accept their subsidiary alliances, right? Then we saw about Tipu Sultan and Hyder Ali. Then Tipu Sultan is also known as the Tiger of Mysore, and Tipu Sultan was the son of Hyder Ali, right? Then Tipu Sultan ruled Mysore from 1782 to 1799. Then 4 wars were fought between Britishers and Mysore and were known as the Anglo-Mysore Wars. Then in the year 1799, the Britishers won the Battle of Seringapatam. Seringapatam is also known as Srirangapatnam against Mysore. Okay, then Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital Seringapatam. Right? Then this lesson will be continued in the next class. Thank you, children.